Hello, I have a situation. Since childhood, I've dreamt of leading and managing.
Correct. It's according to your nature. You have the sun in conjunction with Mars. The sun gives a propensity for power, authority, or military structures.
I enrolled in an institute and then got married. I had a husband, studies, and children, and I couldn't manage it all. At some point, my husband said, "Choose, either me or the kids." Later, we separated. I decided I had nothing to lose. I was in a deep crisis when I left.
A person can always get a job. There are two ways to find a job, and always activity is connected to people. For example, to get married, you need a strong ability to care for people. This care for others gives a woman both beauty and the ability to marry. Similarly, the strength to find a job comes from either friendship or subordination. If you deeply respect elders, you build connections with them, and they help you find work. If you're good friends with someone, friends can find you a job, but your contact with elders is zero. Friendship is strength, there is friendship. Through friendship you can find a job, through friendly relationships.
That's exactly it. For a month now, I've been setting things up, and now positions and opportunities are starting to pile on me. I've gone through everything. There's just a little bit left.
Always, when someone starts a new job, that's just an intermediate stage. You've started working somewhere. Now you need to start building friendships and integrate into the community. Only through these friendships with the people you work with you can settle, not necessarily there, but possibly elsewhere. Or maybe even there. The point is that starting a job doesn't mean you will settle in there. Do you understand? When you find a job through friends, that's natural. If friends lead you somewhere, it means it aligns with your nature, your environment. It's God's gift to you. But if you get a job through some employers, then God isn't giving it to you. It's just your choice. Then you must establish yourself there and find your place in that environment through building friendships. If it's through friends, it's probably the right place. So go ahead and take up this job.
So things should already be working out, right?
Well, you just said they are working out.
Practically.
Don't you believe in yourself?
Yes, it's just I've just been through so much.
I see no problems.
I hear what you say about the relationships with elders, I know. I've felt for several months now that I've been deeply involved in work. I mean, it's tough with everyone now, not just parents, mom, dad.
The process is ongoing. You've increased your strength by 5%. While relationships with friends can immediately give 35 to 40% results in your life, the relationships with elders give 5 to 7%. When it reaches 40%, you will see results there.
And how long will that take?
Women love deadlines. When? Women love setting deadlines. I don't know. It all depends on you.
So, am I on the right path?
You are definitely on the right path. Absolutely. Now it's the man's turn. Man and woman take turns, right?
Good evening. A little backstory. I run a small business, dealing with export brokerage from Spain to Russia. It's been 2 years now, and work is increasing.
Yes, everything seems fine with you.
I hired a young woman to work in Spain. A month after she joined, I found out she was pregnant.
That's typical. When a young woman starts a job, you should ask her if she is married. If she got married recently, she's either going to get pregnant soon or she is infertile. If she is infertile, she will start treatment. If she is pregnant, she'll take maternity leave.
She already had her first, second, and third child. I didn't expect a continuation.
She definitely will not consult with you about it.
Now I have to take over her work, and in 7 to 8 months she will no longer be able to perform her duties.
Moreover, now you will have to fulfill your obligations toward her.
Additionally, another female candidate has appeared. She is based in St. Petersburg.
Also young, right? Unmarried?
Yes, young and unmarried. She's a career-driven individual. At the moment, she seems eager.
Do you want to know from me when she'll get pregnant to decide whether to hire her or not?
The thing is, I hire women for these roles.
Are these positions exclusively for women?
I would like to share my thoughts with you.
I can already guess your thoughts. Hiring women is quick and easy. They are talented, active, and adapt quickly. However, they often do not stay long. They work well, but eventually grow tired, lose interest, and leave. Then they find another job and repeat the cycle. Finding a man, especially for leadership roles, is much harder, but it is the only stable solution, or perhaps an older woman who has already been through life's phases.
The thing is, younger people are more productive. I am looking for candidates who don't need constant supervision, meaning they are passionate about our project.
Well, that's a very high standard with high intelligence. You're talking about a rare case of high intelligence.
So, the goal is to avoid setting limits and instead allow the person to grow independently.
That's a moral standard you're describing, and a very high one.
So, how can I choose a candidate I can trust? After 6 to 7 months of integrating and investing in them, helping them understand and growing confident in them myself, how can I ensure they are the right fit? What to do?
This is an extensive topic. Selecting a candidate means finding a sphere of relationships among such people. It could be a moral business club or similar spaces. Honestly, I'm not sure where you can find such people these days. You've immediately set two conditions, a high moral level and high intelligence. But in this country, 30% of men are alcoholics. So where do you find such a person? Are you such a person? Do you want to get this job?
I need a Spanish speaker.
It's possible to learn Spanish, right?
I can't consider the woman around me for this role.
A Spanish means that a man won't learn Spanish, but a woman will, so it will likely be a woman with a high intellect and moral level.
Precision is important.
Precision isn't typically a masculine trait. Consider a woman who is older and already has children. You need prayer. I can't tell you where to look. I don't know what to advise you. It's God who grants such people. For subordinate roles, advice is straightforward. But if you want to find a leader, I don't know what to recommend.
Let's change the question. How to recognize the right candidate.
Start with a trial period and don't get too attached to the person. Maintain business relationships at a distance, promise nothing, and stipulate clear rules. Before making a serious choice, conduct a thorough interview and find out where they currently work or have worked before. People don't change much. How they have acted in the past will give you insight into how they will act in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Torsunov, for not really telling me anything specific. Well, I don't know what else to tell you, as the saying goes, at my command, as wished by the pike. You are looking for a highly moral, intellectual person. Is there anyone here who is moral, intellectual, easygoing, balanced, currently unemployed, and speaks Spanish? Raise your hand. She doesn't speak Spanish. Young lady, would you consider learning Spanish?
With pleasure.
Now I understand your question. I understand it much better. The most important thing for a leader is to develop the ability to recognize people and understand what to expect from them in the future. This is one of the most challenging skills a leader must cultivate. It's not just about recognizing the qualities of others, it's also about understanding your own fate. Is it even possible for such people to come into your life by fate? If not, what should be done with your fate to allow them to come in? That is what you need to work on now. Perhaps it requires prayer, blessings from elders, or connections to specific communities where such individuals can be found.
The workload is increasing, and I don't have time to search for and vet people properly.
That's an absolutely wrong way of thinking. If you are a top manager, your primary role isn't handling the daily workflow. It's identifying, vetting, training, and integrating the right people into your team. Your current mindset will lead to a significant problem soon. Your psyche will be overwhelmed by the workload. You'll be constantly changing staff, diving into situations you don't understand, perpetually replacing staff, feeling overwhelmed by emergencies, etc. This is what you are starting to do now. You don't fully understand your duties as a top manager. That is the main problem now. You need to resolve it. You need to delegate operational tasks to others and focus on your managerial responsibilities. Otherwise, you'll run into serious trouble.
I understand this perfectly.
Excellent. That means our conversation was fruitful. All right, my dears, let me begin the main lecture. I hesitated to discuss this topic for some time. This is a sensitive and complex issue. I finally realized that I had to address it. My psyche has been preparing for it. Right now, we're discussing complex issues. I hope I can somehow assist you with understanding them. Maybe you can help me understand certain things better? I am not sure. This is a complicated topic regarding relationships where you begin to notice a crack forming. First, I'd like to address the following points. We will review certain topics, and during this process, you might come to understand what's happening with you, how you should act, and what steps you need to take. The first point is understanding the nature of the person you wish to work with. As I've already mentioned in previous discussions, people undergo 4 stages of development in their activities. The first stage is a hobby. At this level, a person enjoys doing certain things but doesn't want to do what's necessary. They want to do only what they like and can't break out of their comfort zone. This represents an underdeveloped person. Even if such a person has a leader's nature, engaging in serious relationships with them is very risky. What we are discussing now is diagnosing the intellect of the person you want to connect with. Diagnosing intellect is essential. Intellect reflects their development in activity. The second stage is abilities. A person at this stage can accomplish many things, but it's hard for them. They are not acting according to their nature. They rely on their abilities. For instance, they might lead effectively, but they feel fatigued by this activity. They can have ambitious plans for leadership. They might think they want to advance, but it exhausts them. Their motivation comes from external factors like money or power, but not from an interest in people or leadership itself. They can lead, but leadership is not their true nature. True nature stems from love and a mission for what one does. For example, a leader's mission is to love people, care for them, and do something for the country. They have a strong patriotic spirit or a desire to serve society. Thus, a genuine leader is deeply committed to social well-being and the happiness of their team. But if a person has leadership abilities, none of this interests them. Since they lack inner creativity, they get tired of work. When assessing a potential leader, if you see that they are already tired from work, you should not rely on them as leaders. They may leave this activity at any moment because it's not their nature. If a person is passionate about the activity and likes interacting with people and other leaders, then you can rely on him. The next level of development is when a person acts according to their true nature. There are 4 distinct natures. The first is scholars. Mature scholars are characterized by truthfulness, responsibility, and a gentle heart. They are not leaders by nature. They may deeply understand how everything works, but they often struggle with making decisions or being responsible for others or disciplining them. Just because someone is an intellectual doesn't mean they are a leader. Often we see an intellectual person and place them in a leadership role, but they struggle to enforce rules and discipline subordinates. This means they are not leaders. There are 3 categories of leaders and 4 categories of people. The first category includes scholars or scientists, the second leaders, the third business people, and the fourth workers, individuals who are passionate about their craft. A mature scholar is characterized by qualities such as truthfulness, responsibility, and a gentle heart. In contrast, an immature scholar tends to exhibit pride in their knowledge, rigidity of thought, and dogmatism. Building business relationships with scientists is often unfavorable because their heart cannot tolerate the pressure placed on themselves or others. You can only establish scientific relationships with scholars that align with their scholarly expertise. Business relationships can be established within the scope of their activities, assigning tasks suited to them as scholars. Scholars are quite independent by nature. When it comes to coaches and trainers, if you agree with their approach to training, you can hire them. If not, there is little you can do to influence them. You can negotiate with businessmen and leaders because they are more dynamic and adaptable. A scientist is someone deeply passionate about a specific field. Overall, they are just not business persons. They are not suited for business roles. Discussing business relationships with this category of people is often futile. The next category is the ruler. A mature ruler possesses qualities such as insightfulness, dependability, responsibility, restraint, principles, and authority. They hold an internally solid and high position in society. It is crucial to examine their personal life. A developed business person typically has a stable personal life, while an undeveloped one has an unstable one. An immature person may frequently change opinions and strategies, display irritability, show excessive ambition, and at times appear narrow-minded or lacking in insight. Leaders can also be very rigid in their thinking, making it difficult to persuade them or prove your point. If you want to establish strategic relationships or partnerships with an immature person, it will likely result in failure. A mature businessman keeps their word, values relationships, and is honest with their partners. However, partnerships with a businessman are inherently temporary. By nature, such people are highly dynamic. They are constantly seeking profit. They cannot maintain long-term social relationships or remain in social structures. They are very mobile, always on the lookout for better opportunities and primarily motivated by money or power. They require incentives to stay engaged. By nature, a businessman can bring a lot of money when properly incentivized, but such arrangements are not genuine partnerships. If you're enticing a person, it's not a partnership. Rather, these are transactional business relationships with clearly defined roles and duties. A businessman can be involved in specific tasks or projects, but building a relationship where you create and manage a business with them is highly impractical. Misjudging someone's nature, mistaking a businessman or a scholar for a leader, can lead to serious issues. A scholar may struggle with interpersonal relationships or show weakness. They may react very strongly. It should be said that some scholars possess leadership abilities. Suppose a person is a scholar by nature, but also has the ability to lead. At first it seems they can lead others, but when the time comes to exert pressure on people, they start philosophizing and suggesting to be kinder, reasoning that only kindness can save the world. Their nature is to save people, not to lead or discipline them. It's important to understand that leaders, by nature, are people who can discipline others, keep their word, and maintain strict relationships. When you interact with them and apply pressure, they remain steadfast. They understand that business relationships sometimes require being strict. They maintain their composure well in relationships, which means they are a natural ruler, by nature, a manager. In contrast, a businessman by nature dislikes strictness. You need to negotiate with them, be friendly, and communicate gently. You should stimulate a businessman solely by their interests. They get highly inspired when money is involved. They can also inspire others with money, but they cannot lead others. They can only negotiate terms and prices, but cannot explain principles of relationships, establish rules, or mentor others. It's not in their nature. They can give something to others, give presents, smile, and build friendships, but they cannot maintain a distance in senior-junior relationships. A businessman can only be senior when they have money, but they cannot socially position themselves as a father figure to others. They still befriend others and establish equal relationships with everyone. If you appoint a businessman as a leader and he becomes friends with everyone, it becomes impossible to discipline others because he can only negotiate and motivate people. If subordinates become insolent, it's unclear what to do next. A businessman won't know how to address the situation. He cannot discipline or lead others. It's simply not his nature. He can only motivate, and there are specific management roles suited for businessmen like sales, where you can base everyone's income on commissions. In such areas, there's no need to explain to people their duties or responsibilities. The relationships are transactional and people are motivated by money. In such cases, a businessman can lead. There are no serious relationships. The principle is such: work and you get paid, don't work and you are let go. That's all. You shouldn't count on these people to stay long term. They may find it interesting here today, then somewhere else tomorrow. It's impossible to create a core team from them. An immature businessman is cunning, deceptive, and prioritizes money above relationships. A mature businessman, however, values relationships above money and is even ready to sacrifice his own money for the sake of relationships. There are various types of relationships: partnerships, senior-junior dynamics, and junior-senior dynamics. Forced relationships require compromise. For instance, suppose you have a junior team member who is a good employee. In a forced relationship, you realize that going into battle with this person is madness. They will inevitably betray or fail you. Yet you depend on them because of their expertise. This raises an immediate question: where do such people even come from? They come from a situation when we hired someone and prioritized their qualifications. Instead, we should prioritize their moral development and personal qualities. Suppose a person is an excellent sniper who shoots exceptionally well, but he panics and freezes when facing the enemy. What good is it to take them into battle? Let them teach everyone to shoot or handle tasks better suited to their expertise if they are such good specialists. Sometimes we hire a highly skilled specialist and they immediately start showing off and acting cocky. You will never be able to change them. You might try to approach them saying, "Come, please sit down and let's talk. You're a great guy and you work well. Why are you behaving like this?" But intelligence does not develop overnight. It's much faster to train someone who is naturally capable than to attempt to develop someone who fails to understand the difference between proper relationships and improper relationships, honesty and dishonesty, or simply lacks integrity. You won't be able to change them, and everything will depend on them. You will have to compromise. In this compromise, you simply have to survive. You can't fix it. You can't do anything here. The mistake is yours. You made the wrong choice. Now you just have to persevere, work with them, bear financial losses, miss opportunities, and wait for another person to come along. If you want another compromise, you can wait for them to change. But in the meantime, read Krylov's fables. You might recall the fable when the barber scolded Vaska the cat for eating someone else's food. The barber lectured about conscience, while the cat kept eating. In the end, Vaska the cat ate everything. The moral of the fable is that force must be applied to individuals like Vaska. It's useless to try reasoning with someone like that. They will listen and keep eating, that's all. That's their level of development. Instilling knowledge into an empty mind is simply pointless. You may choose to learn from experience and realize that some efforts are futile, but it's far better to understand beforehand that professional skills are quickly developed, while moral development is much harder to achieve. Therefore, you need to hire people with a naturally good heart and invest in their development. This approach is faster and cheaper compared to attempting to reshape someone who has the wrong views on life or misguided principles. This is called a compromise. So what should you do in this case? The best course of action is to simply create a plan to eventually replace this person. You may not need 2 people for the position, but hiring 2 might become necessary. You can't just fire someone, as it would disrupt the ongoing processes. Hiring another one means paying twice as much. You'll have to explain the need to hire 2 for this position. Use the probation period strategically. Firing becomes a compromise, but it's still better than losing your business altogether. There is another category of employees. Suppose you hire a subordinate for a role where your business heavily depends on them. Certain professions carry this risk. Suppose you say, "This is my business and it's registered in my name." But what happens if all clients or critical operations are effectively controlled by this one person? In other words, you entrust them with sensitive client information or trade secrets, which they can easily use. They can later simply blackmail you and remove you from your position, or they can take the client base and start their own competing business. In these situations, there is no compromise anymore. This is simply a serious mistake. You may realize that you've made a mistake by choosing someone who lacks the moral qualities to protect your business. If this is not the right person, you cannot keep them and allow them to play games. Don't expect them to grow morally or improve. Once you see that they are morally weak, you need to remove them from their positions. There should be no compromise, because compromise could mean your defeat. If you think, "It's okay, let's keep working with this person a little longer," every moment spent working with them is destroying your business. If you see that a person is behaving cynically, that's the signal. How can you tell? A cynic always criticizes their supervisors. That's the first sign. Secondly, they always create their own space where there's no room for you. You are a senior to them, you are their supervisor. They are in a position of influence, and they carve out their own space. In that domain, their allies, followers, friends, and associates emerge, with whom they hang out, and there's no place for you. That's the tipping point. When this starts, waiting for things to improve is like hoping for calm seas in a perpetual storm. You are not in that part of the sea. There's always a storm where you are. Someone once asked me, "Dr. Torsunov, I have a very important and capable assistant who inadvertently cheated with money." Well, he just cheated a little bit with money. Is it possible to discipline him, to punish him so that he does not cheat with money anymore? It's possible, but nothing good will come of it. This isn't a situation for compromise. You simply have to fire this person immediately. The person cheated with money while in a position of responsibility. Suppose someone works as a janitor. They can cheat as much as they want. They can sweep the floor in squares or stripes, however they prefer. It's their business how much they sweep. That's what they earn, proportionally. But if they hold serious positions and they played around a little with money, cheated just a bit, then what? Is it normal for someone to cheat a little? Sure, it's normal, but it means they don't have the brains for that position. It means that eventually this person will ruin everything because they lack psychological stability. They can't control themselves. How can you trust them? This kind of behavior doesn't change over time. It's impossible. It might change, but only after many years. Therefore, it's also important to know how to test a person. You can test them by motivating them. Suppose you've hired someone who seems serious to you. So what motivates people with a very high level of intelligence? Their motivation is rooted in conscience, honest, and kind relationships. At an even higher level, it's about doing good deeds. For level higher, it's faith. And at the highest level, it's a common goal. Motivation is key. Good people are the ones you can trust with very serious matters. Such people immediately reveal themselves as honest individuals. They are deeply ashamed even of minor mistakes. If they make a mistake, because everyone makes mistakes, they are very apologetic about it. Or, if they give their word, they follow through with it. These individuals vary in how they express themselves. Some apologize, some keep their promises, others constantly open their hearts, sharing how they perceive things. These open their hearts. If a person doesn't open their heart, it already suggests that something is not right in that heart. Or maybe they don't open up, but they don't close off either. If you can have a confidential talk with them, it indicates they are conscientious. You might see that they donate a tithe or do good deeds, or they may be very devout, praying every day. However, not all devout people are necessarily honest. A person may pray and still be deceitful. This must be examined carefully. If a person has a mentor, you need to talk to their mentor. Find out what kind of person they are from their mentor. If they don't have a mentor, then they're not very high-level devout. Let's turn to the motivation of passionate people now. Are passionate people needed in activities? Yes, they are needed, but their motivation is different. You may give a person some degree of power, but not dangerous or highly consequential power. Some want power. These are passionate people. As long as they enjoy that power, they work. You can't bet on them for life. Once power ends, they stop working. They no longer like it. They want more power. They will seek more power elsewhere. It makes no sense to rely on them long term because they are motivated by power. People motivated by money have even lower motivations. Such individuals are entirely unreliable because if there is a crisis, they will all leave. They are not even managers of the first or second tier. These are people motivated by money. You cannot depend on someone who works only when paid. Such persons are completely unreliable. It makes no sense to rely on them long term because they will 100% leave when they find more money somewhere else. Motivation by patronage. There are those who thrive when you support them. This in principle is not a bad motivation, but it is still rooted in passion. When a person is motivated by patronage, it means they are intellectually weak. They fear something in life and lack the inner strength to be independent. Next, there is motivation by influence. If a person wants to influence the situation, that is also rooted in passion. This means that when their influence ends, they will leave. There are also simple workers. It's pointless to motivate workers with lofty ideas like a shared goal, faith, good deeds, conscience, or kind relationships. Workers should be motivated by the force of law, authority, and fear. However, if you establish kind relationships with them, that's positive. Over time, such workers can evolve into masters. It means they have higher intelligence. To find reliable workers, you simply need to create a good system. Often people ask, how do I control the workers who drink, deceive, or misbehave? The answer is, you are not a natural leader. You need to find someone who can firmly oversee them. There are people who excel at monitoring workers, ensuring they don't slack off. They like this role, this is their life. They have to live like this, there are no other options. Attempting to motivate ordinary workers who just want a salary from you with high-minded ideals is impractical. There are activities that involve devout people. How can this be reinforced? Motivation through conscience works. That's effective. Think of past practices, meetings in factories where ideological work was conducted. It was conducted to foster conscience and inspire movements like the Stakhanovite campaign. Such efforts work temporarily. But with ordinary workers, there's no sense in motivating them with anything other than rules, authority, fear, and influence. Some workers are motivated by money. Motivating simple workers with money is risky, even dangerous. If you pay them more money, they will refuse anything less afterwards. Set clear, fixed wages. Workers must adapt to this level of pay. If they can, they'll stay. If not, they'll leave. Promising future raises is very dangerous because they will remember this and they may misinterpret or exaggerate your words. You told them the amount, but they might think it's more. Once that happens, they will drive you crazy. So what about compromise? When we talk about compromise, there is a critical aspect that always comes into play. It's the aspect of relationships. When making compromises, it is essential to maintain calmness and kindness in relationships with a person. If you are making a compromise with someone, it's important to realize that in a compromise, a person can destroy everything if they shift from pure goodness to passion. As soon as kind relationships are lost, the position of common sense is lost as well. Weighing the pros and cons in relationships is required along with accessing the right motivation of a person. In compromises, there can be forceful influences or excessive motivations where you feel compelled to offer something to a person or even resort to a trick. The essence of a compromise is to stay grounded on the platform of reason. Under no circumstances should you exert excessive pressure in a compromise, because people are always on the edge in a compromise. Pressing too hard can disrupt rational thinking and intelligence stops working. The key is to understand how reason functions. Reason, or the ability to make decisions, cannot operate in tense situations or under stress. Compromise means controlling the situation using common sense. Other forms of control are absent in compromises. In compromises, the parties involved have conflicting goals or mismatching needs, yet cannot do without each other. In such cases, you must persevere. A compromise isn't absolute peace or full cooperation. There's an inherent danger in a situation of compromise, and one must balance on the edge of reason. Balancing on the edge of reason equates to calmness. If someone acts boldly or obnoxiously towards you, try to remain calm, even if others behave rudely. They may deceive you, unbalance you, or insult you. If you can't do without them because everything will fall apart, you have to forgive and endure without losing your self-respect. Compromise is about maintaining the ability to communicate with a person. The most important thing in a compromise is the ability to establish and maintain relationships at the level of verbal communication. Because if relationships move to the level of the law in a compromise, usually the law does not help. Escalating to legal actions rarely helps. Compromise creates intense heat. Heat leads to a loss of reason. If a person loses their ability to reason, humane communication breaks down. The law will not affect them because such people lack the intelligence to act according to the law. Legal constraints may temporarily contain the situation. But in this constrained state, people will always seek loopholes like water escaping through little holes when you hold it in your hands. How long it will stay in your hands is unknown. A hole will be found, and the water will leak somewhere. Some people believe in the power of law and fear. Suppose you are in a situation of a compromise and you think, I will now constrain the other with the law, and if they do not comply, they will end up in jail. In general, that's correct, but there is one problem. If you are sure that there are no leaks, then everything is fine, but experience shows that it usually leaks somewhere. I'll give an example. My mother had a cat on whom I experimented as a student, including shooting him with a syringe. I observed the cat's reaction and studied animal behavior. I thought there would be no consequences, and for some time the cat respected me as the son of his owner. Later, the cat realized that I was a person who did not deserve respect, so the cat resorted to using an area of influence that I never expected. The cat began peeing in my shoes. That was a serious argument. It was easier for me to stop conducting the research than to continue washing my shoes, especially since they couldn't be cleaned of the smell. Similarly, legal constraints can lead to retaliation in unpredictable ways. The constrained party might pee in your shoes. This is a dangerous development because everyone has shoes. You can't do anything about it. They will seek vulnerabilities looking for where to pee. They will be watching your family and your relationships with people, and it's only a matter of time before they retaliate and pee in your shoes. It's only a matter of time. Therefore, you can constrain someone by legal means if they have enough common sense. Again, common sense means maintaining kind relationships. People in a compromise become tense, and their psyche crumbles. When a person's psyche is suffering, it's hopeless to expect that they will behave rationally. Anyone can lose their composure. Even very intelligent people can argue with each other badly within a family. If it were recorded, you wouldn't believe these are two intelligent people. Why does this happen? It happens because they have strayed from the platform of reason. That's the issue. Compromise always makes people tense. Compromise should always remain at the level of concessions and conversations. You will still have to make sacrifices. Let's say someone humiliates you. You will have to forgive and keep your distance while not degrading yourself in front of the other party. If the other party demands more, you need to promise them more, but give them a little at a time, not spoil them. Keep the situation in your hands. The most important strength in a compromise is patience. You must pray. This situation exhausts a person. A person loses strength. They have no nerves left. It's very effective in a compromise to find a mediator, someone who will communicate with the other party, someone kindly disposed towards them, and who can help them keep their calm. If you lack the strength, or you feel you can't stand the other person because they have betrayed you, find someone who can communicate on your behalf. There are 3 stages of compromise. In the 3rd stage, you can finally score a knockout and win the battle, but you may end up losing a tooth. It seems you've won, but you have won at the cost of a lost tooth. There's the first level where you keep it verbal. Here, your humiliation and your patience are all that you lose. You may also lose some money or something else small. If patience breaks and you move to the level of the law, warning the other, I order you, work like this, or else I'll fine you, then prepare your shoes. This person doesn't want to work with you on your terms. They only do so out of need because they need you. They will definitely pee in your shoes because you've cornered them and they feel hurt. They will vent this grievance on your employees or your acquaintances, looking for vulnerabilities to tell someone about it. They will definitely pee in your shoes. The third level is the most dangerous. When you say, "Well, brother, now we'll settle our differences and take the matter to court." That's where the war begins. But where does the war take place? It takes place on your territory. You're the boss. They're the subordinate. You're fighting with them on your own ground, your enemy in the rear. It's a very good situation for them. You think, now we'll corner them here. We're all in this together. Not at all. They know everything about you. They know your business and what's going on with you. You may think everything is fine and nothing can be used against you. But they might already know how to destroy everything. There's always someone willing to do that. Therefore, the third level of compromise, to put someone against the wall, is not an option at all. Sometimes it's an option, but it's unpredictable who the winner will be. On the second level, you might be able to hold the water in your hand and everything will be fine. If there were no shoes, maybe I would have continued with the cat. I just had to foresee this possibility. Remove all shoes, and then you can continue spraying the cat with the syringe, but you can't foresee everything. Usually the other party finds where to pee into what is purely yours. So we've entered into a situation of compromise. What do we start doing? First, we analyze the human factor. Who is this person? What is their moral level, social status, and intellectual development? If there is a high moral level, that's excellent. We can maintain compromise. If there is a high social status, they won't fear losing their social standing. We can hold the compromise. When there is a high intellect, you can communicate with a person and negotiate. That's ideal. However, a low moral level is very dangerous. Such a person is uncontrollable and capable of deceit and manipulation. You need to watch them and monitor what's happening. It is especially dangerous when such individuals have close interactions with influential or important people, as they can harm your reputation. For a manager, maintaining authority in relationships with subordinates is crucial. It's a fundamental aspect of management. If a leader fails to grasp the significance of this, they risk serious consequences. Strictly business-oriented relationships are only partially effective. People need to trust you and feel a sense of connection. They need to love you. If this foundation is undermined by someone, but you keep thinking, "I need them, I must keep them," it becomes dangerous. At this point, an analysis of an individual is necessary. The greatest risk lies in a low level of moral development, followed by social status. If their social standing is low, it can be dangerous or problematic because the person may lack an understanding of right and wrong, be underdeveloped and socially isolated. They are a loner, an undeveloped person. They have no friends. Without friends or connections, you can't influence them through anyone. A low level of intellectual development presents another risk, as such individuals may act foolishly. To navigate this, you must identify their motivations, what drives them, what they truly need. At a minimum, sustaining their motivation is key. Ideally, interactions should remain at the level of verbal engagement. If they refuse to communicate, that is a serious concern. Maintaining peaceful relationships is a minimal requirement. Reassure them, "I respect you, I value you, everything's fine." Yet deep down, you recognize that this person is not truly aligned with you, but for now, you can't manage without them. Without close contact, you can't discuss anything and lose control and power. Next comes motivation. Try to understand what truly drives them. If it's money, offer small incentives. But don't raise their salary. Bonuses work better. The more they do, the more they earn. Motivation should be temporary, not permanent. If you think, "I need to keep this person," understand that you won't, because they were never truly aligned with you to begin with. The goal is not to retain them, but to engage them. The best approach is immediate reward for immediate results. The approach should be task completed, payment received. Long-term incentives can be risky because they get accustomed to ongoing rewards. They're not aligned with you. If they get used to ongoing rewards, they will always expect more, creating an endless cycle. If a person is motivated by power, be cautious. Power is a dangerous thing in the hands of an amateur. In such cases, you need to manage relationships with those around them. They will constantly cause destruction, and you have to repair the damage, rehabilitate everyone, and reassure others. "Sorry, that's how it goes. That's just how the person is." If they have no other motivation, you'll have to compromise. However, if they're damaging your reputation, then compromise is no longer an option. We've established what can and cannot be a compromise. If someone puts a grenade in your office, you don't negotiate by saying, let's create a compromise. They will just tell you to stand against the wall. A grenade is not an option for compromise. Some situations leave no room for compromises. I once saw a satirical cartoon about a hostage situation on a plane. They tried to compromise with someone who had a grenade on a plane. A stewardess kept negotiating, asking him, where are we flying next? The hijacker would name a new destination, and she'd agree. Eventually, he got tired and just said, I'm tired, I want to go home. In the end, they landed where they needed to anyway. If someone at your workplace is blowing everything up, why would seek compromise? You can't say, how should we handle the situation? We must treat them kindly. Are you supposed to be kind while they destroy everything? Leaders always have multiple tools at their disposal: legal action, dismissal, or even instilling fear. Sometimes scaring someone is a perfectly valid approach. There's nothing terrible in instilling fear. It's okay to scare them. If it's already a war, it's better to act decisively sooner rather than later. That's why it's essential to determine whether a compromise is even an option or not. If someone lacks moral grounding, social standing, or intellectual capacity, if you see that they're just an idiot and you've somehow made them your partner, then you have made a serious mistake. What kind of compromise can there be? If someone is a liability, you need to get rid of this person immediately. Yes, there may be some losses, but in the end, you will preserve more than you lose. Now, how to get rid of them? Some say it should be done kindly. That depends entirely on how they behave. If they behave kindly, do it kindly. If they don't, then get rid of them however you can. A person has the right to defend their property and to protect their own space and interests, even with force if needed. This is written in the scriptures. Now, on to another critical aspect of compromise, the ability to concede without degrading oneself. A real compromise should never come at the cost of self-respect. If a senior figure engages in compromise, they must do so without losing authority. Likewise, if a junior is in a position of compromise with a senior figure, it's important to concede, but not degrade oneself. If you're not conceding at the cost of your dignity, then you've already lost. This compromise won't work in your favor. True compromise requires the ability to yield without self-degradation. Avoiding self-degradation means maintaining inner strength and self-worth. Never allow yourself to be humiliated. Suppose the senior degrades you by saying, "Do you even know who you are?" Then you need to assess if you need this or not. If you're deeply involved, then you must constantly reaffirm your worth by saying to them, "I know who I am. I consider myself a good person." You need to reaffirm your worth constantly, every second. The reality is that some people will try to diminish you at every turn, and you must counter by standing firm and proving yourself every second, because, in a state of compromise between senior and junior, a person needs to maintain their dignity. A person must feel that strength emanates from you. If you become weak, that's exactly what they need. They want to twist you around their finger. They're not qualified as a senior. They want to degrade you. They resort to threats, humiliation, or manipulation. This, of course, is no longer a compromise. A genuine compromise exists when things are more or less okay, when two sides, though not entirely aligned, can still function together, and you have nowhere else to go. You need to work there, but you no longer want to. That's when it's called a compromise. Here you need to maintain kind relationships, a sense of self-worth, and good verbal contact. If you start flexing your rights, it's no longer a compromise. You are essentially pushing yourself out. The only way for a junior to maintain relationships with a senior is through respect. If you find yourself working under someone you see as incompetent, but they pay your salary, then consider this: God is giving you money through them. You need to respect them for that, for being somehow connected to God, while you are being punished by fate for something. If your superior behaves this way, it means God has punished you for something. You should respect them for giving you money, while not agreeing with their behavior. That's a compromise. However, if you openly rebel as a subordinate, you'll simply be ousted. Worse, you might provoke an open conflict where your position becomes untenable. Compromise, in its truest sense, is the absence of war. Sometimes a junior starts a war. If you have nowhere else to go, absolutely nowhere, then you must concede while maintaining your dignity. Concede as much as you can, but keep your dignity. If a person degrades themselves for a piece of bread, the most terrible thing happens. A person loses their sense of self-worth in relationships, and with it, one also loses their intelligence. He may end up in such a dire situation that life becomes unbearable. A woman once told me about her experience. She had been working as a secretary for a very high-ranking official. This was about 10 years ago. At some point, she decided to leave. But her boss told her, "You will work for me no matter what, and if you leave, I'll have you imprisoned." This person truly had the power to do so. He had such power, so she stayed and continued working. What was the solution in such a situation? The solution is very simple. She should have never lost her self-respect, and if she had already lost it, she needed to regain it gradually. When a person maintains self-respect in relationships, they can negotiate. Without it, they are reduced to mere pawns, someone no one will bother to reason with. One needs to get out of the cattle position first. The first step for her should have been to reclaim her dignity. Only then could she begin to negotiate, calm him down, and de-escalate the situation. This comes through common sense. If someone is highly influential, say you work for a king, how do you ensure he doesn't have you executed? If you present yourself as mere cattle, he won't hesitate to have your head cut off. So what should you do? You must appeal to his reason. You must communicate with him. There is a story in the scriptures about a man who was about to be beheaded. Nearby stood another man who could save him. The only way to do so was through a conversation. The one ordering the execution was humiliating everyone around him. He was determined to kill. He could have also killed the one who was trying to intervene to save the other, but because the man who sought to intervene maintained his composure and engaged in reasoned dialogue, he managed to prevent the killing. He achieved this through a conversation with the help of his intellectual strength. This is diplomacy at its highest level, when one person saves an entire country from war because they know how to behave properly, without humiliating themselves or others, and without getting angry. Even in a difficult situation, even in the face of humiliation, you maintain calmness. This means you are winning. Self-respect is the most crucial asset in such moments, and it is where you must invest all your energy to remain dignified, even in adversity. Peace and dignity. After all, a bad peace is still better than a good war. Sometimes war is necessary when peace is no longer an option. In such cases, you must be certain that you will win. Sometimes war is good even when you lose, just to maintain dignity, especially for rulers. You know that you will definitely lose, but you'll maintain dignity. In this case, it's good to fight. Because if you win but lose your dignity, you've lost everything. For a leader, dignity is paramount. The true skill lies in knowing how to yield without being humiliated. This is what preserves balance in a compromise. Next comes the ability to anticipate the consequences of each step. You have some kind of compromise, and now you need to survive. You have to study every step, both yours and your opponent's, and calculate the possible consequences. Most importantly, study the negative consequences, not just the positive ones. People often assume that all consequences are positive. They simply haven't considered the negative ones. This is dangerous. It means that a conflict with this person can erupt at any moment. Often a manager thinks, "I'm in charge and you're a fool. In my war with you, I will always come out on top." But that's not guaranteed. It all depends on the strength of the opponent. Some people, when fired, dismissed, or wronged, just quit and that's it. They grieve, accept their fate, and move on. But some people will dedicate their entire lives to revenge after being fired, and such a person must be recognized. It does not matter whether they're subordinates or seniors, powerful or powerless. You say, "I'll grind them to dust. I'm a senior, they are poor, and I'm wealthy." The ability to seek retribution is a unique human quality. It doesn't matter what position in society a person has. It doesn't matter how influential they are. It doesn't matter how much money they have. What matters is how qualified they are at taking revenge. I'm just saying that such people exist. If you've run into such a person who is highly skilled in revenge, the best course of action is to part ways peacefully, preferably as quickly as possible, even if it means taking a loss. Let's say you hired someone and reprimanded them for a mistake. They work for you and everything seems fine up to a point, but suddenly you notice a change. They're constantly walking around like this. They avoid eye contact. They remain silent. Their entire demeanor shifts. Suddenly fear appears in your heart. Something's not right. You sense fear around this person. You must sit down for a cup of tea, trying to ease the tension and say, "Listen, I was probably wrong in how I treated you." And they, despite being a subordinate, will respond, "Exactly, you were wrong and mistreated me." So you spend 2 hours trying to pacify them. "I was wrong. I'm sorry. I will try to behave differently." You engage in a respectful conversation and offer an apology without humiliation. And yet, in the end, after you have been apologizing and yielding, if the person says, "Thank you, I'll think about it," there will be no compromise with such a person. This is someone who will hold on to resentment for life and will seek revenge. It doesn't matter how or when, they will find a way to take revenge. A vengeful person is like a poisonous snake. Imagine you brought a lizard into your home, but it turned out to be a poisonous snake, and you have to wear rubber-coated clothing. You might think it won't bite you anyway, even though it's deadly poisonous. You might think, "It's fine, I'm wearing rubber, it can't bite me." But that is not how it works. You need to get rid of such a person immediately. Nothing good will come of it anymore. That's it, you've seen this quality of vengefulness. They can't forgive. Everything must end immediately, but in a good way. "I'm sorry, we're downsizing. Here's your salary for 2 months in advance as per law." And you might wonder if Dr. Torsunov is exaggerating. Why pay so much attention to this person? Isn't this an overreaction? Well, let me ask you, should you pay little attention to a poisonous snake or a lot? A malicious person is just like a snake. The best approach is to carefully move it to another forest, not yours. Let it crawl elsewhere. If it needs to bite someone, let it bite someone else. When I served in the army in a training unit, I learned this lesson firsthand. One day, while I was on duty, cutting vegetables, a man approached me, an Eastern warrior, a real man. "Feed me," he said. Actually, I should have simply fed him. Now, in hindsight, I should have simply given him food. But I didn't fully grasp what kind of person was standing in front of me. I wasn't against feeding him at all. But I said, "Look, I'm assigned to cutting vegetables here. This is the vegetable cutting area. The food is given out where they cook. Go there. They'll be happy to feed you." He insisted, "I came to you. You feed me." I should have gone and fed him, but I was busy with service. I had to clean vegetables. Then his tone changed. "You don't respect me?" I replied, "I do respect you." He stared at me for a moment, then simply said, "I will kill you." And he left. I assumed he was just angry and would cool down. But when I finished cutting vegetables and went outside, I saw him. He was standing there waiting for me. Thank God he was standing with his back turned. I didn't go further. There were guys who had been serving for 2 weeks. They were walking in formation, so I quickly joined them. He wouldn't try to kill me in front of everyone, I assumed. From then on, I only moved in formation, from the barracks to the bathroom and back, everywhere. The strategy was very simple. I just waited until he found a new target to kill, and that's exactly what happened. He was a man from a village. He came down from the mountains. He needed to kill someone. At that moment, I made a simple decision. Better not me. I reported this issue to the management, but no one took it seriously. They thought I was making it up and exaggerating, and then, just as I expected, he stabbed someone and was sent to prison. That was it. Case closed. That's why it's crucial to recognize what kind of person has entered your life. Even if they seem insignificant, just a worker, if their nature is vengeful and malicious, they are a snake. Then you need to get rid of this person immediately. You must fire them immediately. There is no room for compromise. No jokes or second chances with a snake. If you feed a snake with milk, its poison becomes stronger. If you compromise with it, it becomes even more poisonous. There is an ancient story according to the Vedas. A horse decided to swim across the river, and she met a scorpion. The scorpion pleaded, "Listen, take me across the river. I need to get to the other side." The horse hesitated. "How can I trust you? You're a scorpion. You'll sting me and we'll both drown." The scorpion reassured her. "Am I stupid or what? If I sting you, I'll drown with you. Why would I do that?" The horse thought the scorpion's words made sense and agreed to carry him across the river. As they swam across the river, the scorpion relaxed. He thought, "Oh, what a nice warm skin." And then he stung the horse. He could not resist. It just felt too good. And so they both drowned. That's the story. If you believe that feeding a snake with milk will make it kind and good, you are mistaken. It will bite you regardless, because a snake remains a snake. That's why it's crucial to anticipate the consequences of every step. It's important to understand what kind of person is in front of you and where they're heading. Many think, "I'm the manager here, I am in charge, I have control over everything." But we cannot control human nature. A madman is a madman, and they can cause trouble even against common sense. Imagine you find yourself in a situation where things are slipping out of your hands and you're losing power. Imagine you're a manager and you're losing power. For a leader, power is everything. What does it mean to lose power? It means that someone starts grumbling about you. Or someone is taking your clients. or someone started scrutinizing your work and documents, there are many ways to lose power. If you're losing power and can't do anything to regain control, your priority must be to increase trust in relationships with this person at any cost. It's clear that there's a war going on, but it's an invisible war. In this invisible war, finding who you can trust and communicate with is your greatest weapon. Through this, you can increase your influence on the situation and win. It's crucial to find someone with whom you can increase the level of trust in relationships. Or, if necessary, do it yourself. This is crucial. Otherwise, you will lose everything. Compromise is always difficult. To avoid unwanted compromises, let's take business partnerships as an example. What are the key conditions for a successful partnership? You likely know them, but I'll list them just in case. The first is the experience of working together. Some believe they can start a business together simply because they understand each other well. They have what is called a mental platform, good conversations, shared work experiences. We drank champagne together. We went to the Bolshoi Theater together. This is called a mental platform. A mental platform comes from socializing, friendship, leisure, weekends together. An intelligence platform is different. It always forms through action, through challenges, through overcoming extreme situations and difficulties. If you have worked together before, your chances of success increase. Because intelligence manifests itself in work, not in leisure. Next is tested loyalty. If someone had some difficulty in life, or you did, and this person helped you. You had a difficulty in life. Someone abandoned you and everyone turned away, but this person helped you. This is a very strong bonus toward being able to build something further with this person, because their intelligence has a very high platform, and their consciousness is strongly pronounced. This is a conscious person. Such people are unlikely to betray you or let you down, or at least far less likely. You need to have knowledge about a person's character because people may not always be compatible in personality, and that matters. It's important to spend some time together. You need to know a person's character, the level of their moral development, and whether they have faith. You might say, this is a good person, but they have no faith. Let's look at different types of people based on their intelligence. Let's take devout people. They are divided into several categories. There are moral atheists. These are moral principled people, but they are atheists. A moral atheist is a person who won't be guided by conscience. They will be guided by the common sense they have. They are moral persons. They have principles and rules, but no conscience. Conscience belongs to God. Such people will execute you with a kind heart or reward you with a kind heart. This will depend on how your relationship develops. This is atheism. There is no conscience there. There are only principles and rules. Atheism is a terrible thing. That's why throughout history we have seen repressions and ruthless actions. You know how it was. There were no options. Atheism is a terrible thing. There is no conscience there. There is an enemy, there is a friend, there are laws. Next category is a moral atheist. This is already good. A moral atheist is good. They are believers. You can resolve issues with them from the position of conscience. If a person is moral, you can appeal to their conscience. If they don't understand that their behavior is unconscionable, you can involve their mentors or elders in faith who will guide them and explain things. They will understand. Anyone can slip into an unconscionable position. But if a person is not an atheist, you must understand their spiritual framework. Find out where they pray to God, who their friends are, and better yet, who their elders and mentors are. If you want to build a business with them, you need to meet their mentors. Establish some leverage, and you will have a layer of protection. Interestingly, this applies to family life as well. If you're marrying a woman and she has a mentor, meet that mentor. If your relationship with the mentor is good, the family will 100% stay together. But if it starts off poorly, there is a high chance, 90%, that the marriage will fall apart. Because her mentor could simply tell her, this is not the right person for you. She will believe them, and it will be very difficult. Such things happen. Then there are immoral people. A moral atheist is good. At least they adhere to laws and principles. They have a framework that guides them. From the standpoint of party or government policy, things can be resolved. Why? Because moral atheists put their faith in government and the party. They believe in institutions, not God. They do have faith, just in something different. A moral person always has some form of faith, and you can somehow use this. The real issue arises with truly immoral people. But what does that mean? How to recognize an immoral person? For example, why did you come without your wife today? Well, I left her. Why? What difference does it make? It's my personal life. That is it. You need to find out what happened. This means this person has no conscience, and they will act without accountability. How can you work with someone like that? Clearly, if there's a subordinate, it matters less. You pay them money, and if they don't work, you fire them. Whether they have a conscience or not doesn't matter much, because it's low intellectual activity. But if your future partner says, yes, I left my wife, don't underestimate the significance of this act. Or take another example, someone who cheated on their previous partner. Or they speak negatively about the government. Or they are rude. They disrespect everyone. They mock authority. This is very dangerous, because you are also an authority in their life. When the time comes, they will start spitting on you just as easily. For them, it makes no difference. Immoral people are not capable of respecting anything around them. They behave cynically. They are cynically minded. It is very dangerous to have serious partnership relations with such a person. How to understand the power of intelligence. For example, you're at a meeting, you're explaining something to someone and it's not getting through. You think, perhaps I'm unlucky today. It's not the right day, that's why they didn't understand. Okay, try another day. They don't understand on another day either. You're explaining something that seems obvious to you and you think they probably understood but won't admit it. You need to try one more time. I had an acquaintance who looked perfect, handsome and very well-mannered in relationships, but I noticed that he was fooling around. Such a beautiful, good person, very attractive. He seemed just perfect, but he was cheating. It's a very dangerous situation. This means that he has low intelligence. Later he made amends, saying, I'm sorry I deceived you. He sincerely confessed, saying, it's my fault, please forgive me. His morality is fine, but his intelligence is low. He will cheat again and then repent again. That's his level of intelligence. If people think everyone should have the same level of intelligence, it's very dangerous. All people have different levels of intelligence, different powers of intelligence. One should assign positions according to people's intelligence. Maybe they can work well in a lower position. If you need to engage them in management to avoid any future compromises, you need to weigh everything carefully. Thank you, sir, for asking this question. This is exactly Dr. Torsunov's topic, where to find such a person. Now you will ask me, and I honestly don't know. God gives us such people. Here you need prayer, you need blessings from elders if you want to find a partner. If you have enough money to run a business by yourself, it's best to do so. Life is easier, you hire, you fire, you develop more slowly but more reliably. Of course, it is good to have a large team. For this, you need to have methods for developing intelligence, diagnosing a person's intelligence and their moral level. I have an acquaintance. I'm not encouraging you to use this method. Maybe this will sound a bit self-praising, I apologize. It just occurred to me. He summoned his employees, his managers in a serious company, and for fun started listening to excerpts from my lectures with them. About management, about activities, and watched how they reacted. Some people listened and didn't react at all. He noted who reacted and who was interested in developing themselves and who didn't react. He began to study how these people behave in life and realized that they had no potential for development. He kept them in certain positions, gave them opportunities, and that's it. He began to develop those people who were interested in the lectures and eventually built himself a good team. Why? Because he was able to understand whether a person wants to develop or not, or rather whether they can or not. There are people who simply cannot. Some say, Dr. Torsunov, my husband doesn't understand what I do. For men, it's basically normal not to understand, but sometimes they don't understand for their entire life. Why? Because God didn't give them this ability. This can also happen. You need to do something about it. Find a way to live with it. If you want to do business with someone, you need to understand their motivation, what motivates them. If they are motivated only by money, then when you accumulate money, you won't be able to stay together anymore. Their motivation will spoil them. They will lose their head. If a person is motivated by money and has accumulated money, then either they change their motivation or something might happen to their state of mind. Their psyche will be under pressure. Lots of money, it's what they dreamed of. Imagine a person searches for gold and finds it. What happens to them next? The person loses their mind. It's important to understand the motivation. There are good motivations. For example, you say, I want to develop as a person. This is a good motivation. I want to do something useful in my life, bring some serious benefit to this society. This is a good motivation. If a person says, I want to bring benefit, but behaves very ambitiously in relationships, then most likely they want power and only think they want to bring benefit. You shouldn't listen to what a person says about themselves, but understand what they really want. All this is verified through actions. You need to work with a person first before taking them as a partner, or at least find out how they worked before. Do something to enter their sphere of activity, try to understand how they act, what they do, talk to their friends, and so on. Try to understand their motives through their words, their relationships, in conversation. Try to understand what motives a person has. There are 3 levels of motives: pure goodness, passion, and degradation. I wrote it down somewhere. As I've already mentioned, common goal, faith, good deeds, conscience, honest and kind relationships, these are pure goodness motivation. Power, money, influence, patronage show motivation and passion. Fear, power of law, power of influence, these are degradation motivation. If a person says, I want to do my own business so that my life would be protected, this is the lowest motivation. It's a fear-driven motivation. This means the person is not a leader by their nature. One acquaintance told me how he created a business. Actually, it wasn't his business, but he was invited into someone else's business, a promising business. The person said, I created this business. I was poor and needed to survive somehow. It happened this way. God gave me this business. Come join my business. If a person thinks, I want to have a normal life, such motivation indicates fear. This person is not a leader by nature. He started working with him and realized that the person wasn't a manager at all. What's a manager's motivation? One desires power, desires influence, success. This is somewhat acceptable. An undeveloped manager is motivated by power. The person wants power and success. This is normal. One wants high social status, influence over other people, wants to command. This is a leader, but an undeveloped leader. You shouldn't take them as a partner. You can try to hire them as a subordinate and develop them, giving them some small responsibility. Maybe this person will become better. You need to watch. If one doesn't develop, don't engage them any further. If a person is motivated by higher things, wants to bring some good to people, wants the country to develop, wants to develop themselves, they are a natural leader. These are very high motivations. This is a sign of strong intelligence in a person. Such a person can be made a partner. You need to study further what to expect from them. The next very important question: partnership means equal position in business and in society. Partners are equal people. If a person has a higher social status, took you in and says, I need a partner, let's be partners, they are not a partner for you. Of course, you can be a partner with a king as long as he's in a good mood. Let me give you an example. I won't say where and when. In one country, in one state, a ruler had a son. He loved to play hockey. One businessman was unlucky. He decided to play hockey with this ruler's son, but on the opposite team. Hockey is a contact sport, and he accidentally body-checked the ruler's son. The next day, he was already in prison. Inspectors came, found problems in his business, and put him in jail. What's the moral of this story? Don't try to build equal relationships with unequal people. Why did he go play hockey with him? He was not his equal. An equal relationship is very important. People should be equally developed. Look at how developed you are. The development should be approximately equal. If a person is much less developed, what kind of partner are they? Maybe they have more business opportunities, but they are less developed. How will you work with such a person? You think, I am more developed, he is less developed, but he has more opportunities. Fine, but there won't be any partnership. You need to build relationships according to the law. Everything must be documented and legally certified. Know that division is inevitable, but if you have everything more or less documented, you'll part ways like ships in the sea. If the person is not as developed as you are, it's very dangerous to deal with them. They won't understand what you're talking about. They won't engage. They will create big problems in the future. How to understand a person's development level? You need to communicate. Before creating a partnership, you need to spend some time with the person and tell them about it. If you've decided to establish a business partnership with someone and you're both men, go sailing with him on a yacht in the open sea. It seems like a waste of time. It's not a waste of time at all. You'll get to know the person. Behave in a reserved, calm manner. As one song says, take a guy to the mountains, take a risk, and you'll understand who he is. Create an extreme situation. See how the person reacts. You'll learn everything about them. It seems difficult. spending time, getting to know someone, but you'll have to spend time later anyway. Either learn everything right away by spending time and energy, investing in it, or suffer the consequences later. Talk about expectations and requirements, what we want, what expectations we have, what situations might arise, model situations. If this happens, what will we do? And if that happens, what should we do? This is a partnership. It's a very high level of relationship. There are business relationships that are not partnerships. What kind of relationships are these? These are more superficial relationships. They are protected by law. They are maintained by good protection from the state. If the state is strong, you can build business relationships. You have power and protection in these relationships. You need to constantly monitor the situation in business relationships. It matters who you are dealing with. Let's say you hired someone, and it turned out to be a high-ranking official's son. He decided to work for you for some time. Maybe you shouldn't let him do it. He might like your business and might take your business away later. He can't be your subordinate because he's a son of a high-ranking official, much higher than you. Why hire him? Say, I won't be able to hire you. I'd rather do some service for you. He will tell this to his father, and his father will be very pleased. If the father asks to hire him, then you need to discuss everything seriously with the father. Say, I am your servant. You are the master. Please explain my guarantees in our relationship. You respect him as your senior. He explains the guarantees, provides protection from his own son, but still, it's very dangerous. When you have business relations with someone, do you know what connections they have? Who are their friends? What are their interests? You need to know more or less. What if they have criminal friends? Imagine you had a quarrel, and he told his friends about it. He didn't mean to, it just happened, and his friends took offense at the situation. Good friends got offended, and it so happened that a person was killed. You need to understand who you're having business relations with. Close relationships in business, is it possible? Better not, but it's possible. Sometimes people have a very high moral, intellectual, and professional level, a very high level overall. If they have common spiritual goals and the same spiritual mentor, it's great. High patriotic spirit, some patriotic goals, strong dependence on elders, good compatibility, ability to compromise, honesty, insight, many good qualities. Close relationships in business mean being allies. Is it possible? Yes, it is. I know examples when people really protected each other in business. 3 friends worked together, protected each other. Sometimes there were business losses, but they maintained their relationship. It ended tragically. 2 of them died from cancer. The wife of one person who died from cancer started plotting against the 3rd one who remained alive. Everything seemed great, but they didn't account for the wives. She started taking over the business through her friends, and conflicts began. The 3rd man died from cancer due to nervous tension. A life for a life. Are you tired of me? Is everything okay? I hope I told you something new. It's a complex topic. Let's analyze what kinds of relationships exist. Business relationships are relationships based on common interests and good relations in business. Relationships based on common sense. If there's common sense, then there are business relationships. Relationships based on law. If there's law in relationships, they're business relationships. If there's no law, they're not business relationships anymore. Relationships built from the position of superiority. There are also such business relationships. You're superior to someone in something. They're subordinate. They have no choice. They're within boundaries. These are also business relationships. If you want friendly relationships don't exist with subordinates. This is the first thing you need to know. If someone is your subordinate, friendly relationships will ruin your company. What problems will arise? Your subordinate is a good person, really good. You became friends with a subordinate. If you don't give them a position, don't separate them from others, keep them as a subordinate and continue being friends, you can't guarantee that requests won't start coming to you through this person. Then manipulation will begin. That means this person will become an object of close attention and influence of everyone who is around them. This is very dangerous. It's also dangerous to have a mistress at the enterprise. It's a zone of close influence, meaning influence on you will start through her. That's why leaders should have a Nordic, resilient character without compromising relationships. If their character is not resilient, not Nordic, not cold, but emotional, they'll be under influence. When there is power, everyone wants to influence. Friendly relationships in business mean shared views, common goals, same faith, and so on. Friendly relationships mean you are equals. You can be friends with someone in business, but they are equal to you. They are a business person just like you, preferably not in your company. You are friends, they do business, but it's not your business. If it's your business, there are no friendly relationships there. If you go to play football with your subordinates, is this good or bad? It's great, but what kind of relationship is it? You play football and seemingly are friends, but you don't let anyone get close to you, you don't have intimate conversations. A person comes up to you and says, "Listen, I have family problems." You hug this person and say, "Listen, I have family problems too. You shouldn't do this." Their family problems are one thing, your family problems are something completely different. You are a representative of authority, and that person can record and use this information. If one has family problems, you, as a senior, as a father figure, can talk to them, help solve the problem. These aren't friendly relations, these are father-son relations. Friendly relationships are when you open up to a person, they open up to you, you take care of them, they take care of you. A friend can come and tell you the brutal truth, but you're the factory director, and the person is your subordinate. One tells you the brutal truth, and you can't do anything about it because it's a friend, and then things get out of hand. No friendly relationships. Rulers befriend rulers, kings befriend kings, tailors befriend tailors. Everyone chooses their own zone of friendship. This is very important. Otherwise, there will be problems. When do forced relationships occur? You work together, you have common goals, you're aiming at something together, but something went wrong. You depend on achieving your goal. Forced relationships begin in this case. If you have shared money and something goes wrong, forced relationships begin. If you fear your partner, they start threatening, and you can't step away, then forced relationships begin. They found out something about you and threatened you. These are forced relationships caused by fear of the law. What does this mean? Maintain your balance, calmness, self-dignity, studying the person, studying the dangers, anticipating every step, never leaving the zone of equilibrium. Always believe that everything will be fine. Maintain verbal contact with them. If verbal contact is impossible, then look through their motivation, what can be done, what motives they have in life, and study them. Forced relationships mean a pre-war situation. In this case, you need to be very kind. Everything should be good. So when is common sense lost? You think, I control the situation, let me put pressure on them now. You put emotional pressure on them. It's a fact that you control the situation. Perhaps from a legal standpoint, you will defeat this person. That's a fact. There's one option called fools don't follow the law. If a person loses their mind, they can destroy everything out of spite. Or they understand they will go to jail and they'll kill you. Fools don't follow the law. Applying pressure in forced relationships is dangerous. If you fire someone, no problems. If they're like a snake, then fire them carefully. Give 4 months' salary. You can even do it with an orchestra. If they're like a snake, do it very carefully. They will still bite later, but they won't have the strength to bite hard because everything was done in a very kind way. They will instigate. If they're a snake, they will humiliate because they want to bite. It's their nature. As for the humiliation of dignity, if you humiliate the wrong person, then forced relationships begin. Sometimes a person forgives if they're a good person. A senior can be rude, but must always fulfill their duties. A junior cannot be rude, but can neglect their duties. Such a relationship is very good. The junior sometimes makes mistakes, apologizes, but isn't rude. The senior always fulfills their duty, but sometimes loses temper because of great responsibility. This is normal. If the senior loses temper with the wrong person, hits a nerve, forced relationships begin, then one needs to apologize. Why should I apologize? I'm the boss. Fools don't follow the law. The person has no brains. They say, I'll kill you. What can you do in this situation? Fear turning into madness is the next topic. When is common sense lost? In case of pressure, humiliation of dignity, when fear turns into madness. A person is already afraid. You pressure them a bit more and things get out of hand, especially with women. When a woman is in management and she pushes a little too hard, things spiral out of control. She's very afraid. It takes a long time to calm her down afterward. It takes a lot of time. Hostile relationships are those relationships that turn from compromise into war. If a person doesn't save the situation, then war begins. Once war has started, you have to fight. War from a legal standpoint is the best option. Better to have war from a position of common sense, to prove to someone by force that they are wrong. This is mainly in personal relationships. I had a case. In India, one person decided to leave his wife. There, it's illegal to leave your wife. You can go to jail. He left her cleverly, saying, "Live separately with your parents. Don't come back. Stay there for now." He doesn't invite her back. Then they found out he had another woman. Her relatives somehow forced him, promised him a lot, and lured him to the city for business. Then 60 relatives sat with him in one room and talked for 8 hours. They were kind, they threatened, they forgave. They wore him down so much that he decided to take his wife back. It's a real situation. This is the position of common sense. If you have the ability to wear someone down, sit with them in a sauna or somewhere else and just wear them down. All friends are on your side. You talk with this person until they say, "Okay, I get it, fine." After that, it doesn't work from a legal standpoint. This is war. They lose because you wore them down. From a legal standpoint, it's normal if you have the power. If not, then there's another option, from a position of force. Some say that a position of force is already a criminal position. No, a position of force is not criminal. The boss calls their subordinate in and says, "Don't do this, do only that, otherwise it will hurt." Is this power? Yes, it's power, if you have it. If you don't, you need to understand why. In order to have it, you need to perform constant charitable activity in the city so that authorities respect you. Why do you need this? So that later you can come and say, "There's a person here behaving very badly." Invite them, I'll talk to them. One conversation is enough for them to lay down their arms to understand that it's better not to meddle in your affairs. It's dangerous. Power doesn't mean armed guys. I think it shouldn't come to that. Because an uncontrollable situation may arise where no one wins, there is only enmity and revenge. It's better not to use these two options. When enmity has started, one needs to forgive, ask for forgiveness, and so on. Revenge is even worse. That's it. Business relationships are destroyed. How do people in pure goodness behave in compromise? They calm the situation down, forgive, try to understand the person. They search for interests and guarantees, make concessions to preserve what's theirs. They describe negative consequences for both parties. Compromise in passion brings pressure, pride, feeling of superiority, enmity. Or I get used to being pressured. They pressure me. I humiliate myself. And again, there's enmity. We put money above people. We bargain, threaten. Compromise in passion always turns into war. If compromise is in degradation, we give in because of the partner's strong character and humiliate ourselves. Or we pressure people from a position of superiority and violence, act without understanding consequences, and then they take revenge on you. One woman asked me, "Dr. Torsunov, what do you think? Should I sue this person?" I said, "Almost always you should go to court if the person is wrong, to defend your truth." She told me who she was planning to sue. I said, "Better not to. That person has huge influence, enormous resources. They've already proven this several times. They say, 'If you go this way, I'll have you imprisoned.'" She asked, "Should I do it or not? And it's just a matter of a couple $1,000s. I said, "Don't. Give them the money." She said, "But I want to." I said, "Then you'll end up in prison." War is not always good. You need to understand the consequences. There is compromise with elders, with equals, and with juniors. There was a case here at a business seminar. One person asked me, and we decided that patience and respecting this person is the best option. The senior person behaves incorrectly, but you can't leave. It's a good company. You're developing there. Everything is great, but they're wrong. Patience, respect, acceptance. This is compromise. Gradually, everything calms down. Either quietly leave for another place or bring the situation to a good result. Maybe everything will calm down. We mainly talk today about compromise with equals. Compromise can also be with juniors. What questions do you have? Let's analyze this topic practically now because it's very complex. Specifically compromise, since this is the topic you came for. Your question.
Hello. Thank you very much for the lecture. I'm currently in a management position. My supervisor, as I see it, is an ideologist. I'm more of a process manager.
Yes, you're saying it right.
Where to find compromise?
An ideologist can be a manager. All 4 categories can be top managers. The company's built completely differently then. Is the ideologist focused on people or processes?
Processes, as I see it.
This means they will develop everything greatly. Their business will grow very quickly, but there will be complete chaos in all activities. The main problem is that such a person doesn't even understand that there's chaos. Their nature is different. They hire someone who manages people. You need to establish the right relationship with them, prove that there's chaos and that they need you. This requires self-dignity and constant explanation. This person has a different nature. One doesn't understand what you're talking about at all. One says, everything is fine, we're developing. They fire people saying, good, they're fired. But it's impossible to find new people. You need to keep people. We'll find someone. The main thing is moving forward, they say. They don't understand the volume of work with people, how to discipline them. They say, we will write the rules, we will write them. Right now the main thing is to move forward, and we will write the rules and deal with relationships between employees sometime later. They don't care about rules, they need to move forward. They manage processes. An administrator knows that without rules, without job descriptions written down, it's impossible to work at all. Is this your problem with this person?
Yes.
Teach them. You are an extremely necessary person for them in this company. When they understand this, they will cherish you, but you will never fully understand each other. It's simply impossible. You are completely different. In management, there are 4 categories of managers. If they unite together, a great company is created. They are all absolutely different and will never fully understand each other. If they understand that they need each other, then they develop business greatly. This is a sign of very high intelligence in people.
Thank you very much.
Explain, teach, say, this is necessary. Without this, it won't work. They won't listen to you. When it happens as you predicted, they will say, yes, I agree. I'm wrong here. You tell them, you're right. It's just not your area. Trust it to me. I will do it. Give me the opportunity. Give me authority. Then everything will work out for you. Explain, teach them. You've entered such a structure where you're in your right place. They need you very much, but don't understand it yet. Your question.
My situation is similar to the previous one. I work as an employee under a manager who belongs to the scientist category.
How did you determine that?
He's a business trainer, loves to come up with new ideas.
Does he discipline people?
Yes, he does.
Then he's not a scientist. There are ideologists, there are ideological type leaders. They can be top managers. They create good management models, can train people. This is probably an ideologist who deals with people, not with processes. He trains people, invests in them, inspires them.
We have training sessions every day.
Daily training sessions mean he's an ideologist.
They're not planned. I communicate with him about work matters.
Yes, he invests a lot in people. He can't discipline people because he invests in them. You should be the one disciplining. What's the compromise? What's the problem?
The problem is that I understand him very well. We have a similar management style. I have my own department, my own team, and they don't understand him at all. They need more and more.
Of course they don't understand. If you have your own department, you're doing administrative management. Are your people also managers?
Yes.
They are like you, of your type. You will never understand each other. It's simply impossible.
How to find compromise? I'm between them. I understand him and I understand them. I need to make it so that people continue to work without any negative attitude.
The conflict goes through you. You need to understand what his mistake is in relation to these people. If all power belongs to an ideologist who inspires people, then people will be inspired on one hand, but undisciplined on the other. Most likely job descriptions aren't written down, and everything is held together purely by inspiration.
The situation is that people think they are being treated with bias. They think other departments have different rules. I was recently such a manager myself, and my employees have relaxed a bit, and they possibly have different rules.
All right, I know what to tell you. If you want to develop as a leader, you must learn to focus on good qualities in your seniors. Right now, you don't see the good qualities, and you suffer greatly because of this. You see their flaws, you torment yourself, and all of this transmits through you to others, and they also acquire this kind of vision. If you want to develop as a leader, you must see good qualities in your leader and explain to them. You should also understand their mistakes and respectfully explain them. How to explain mistakes to a senior? I'll tell you now. You approach them and say, I have some difficulties. They say, what difficulties do you have? And you say, well, it seems to me that there might be some mistake here, but I think it's my mistake. But the situation is such that all the subordinates, they all think that this is wrong, that it's better not to do it this way. It's better to do it another way. And I don't know what to tell them because you're senior. I respect you. That's why I came to ask you about this. What to do with them, how to explain and talk to them. And one says, don't worry about it. Everything is fine. These are their problems. You say, okay, I won't worry. These are their problems. But you know that you will have to worry. You come again. The question is simply when this person will take measures. If the situation is becoming dangerous and out of control, well then, they can't say there are no problems anymore. The fire needs to start a little bit. Then you come to the next stage and say, your house has burned down, but everything else is fine. You need to move to the next stage and say that it's not just about worrying, but that fire has started. What should I do? How should I handle this? Please tell me. And they will say, well, I understand, let's think about it. And this person will start to respect you greatly. Because you're acting correctly according to your position. Later they won't just respect you, but will start listening to you, and then will begin promoting you. It's very important to respect seniors and be very delicate in relationships with them, but not to lose your self-esteem. When a person is very intellectual, they understand the situation well, but they're junior, so they must greatly respect their seniors and teach them from this position of respect. And a manager, a leader, must always teach everyone, including seniors, but you need to know how.
The last time when I came to my boss, he hinted that this was my problem, that I wasn't working hard enough.
Great, excellent. If so, then you ask, what exactly am I not doing well enough?
He explains to me.
Good, then do it.
I did that, and people got even more upset.
So go back to him. Say, look, I did as you said, but people are getting even more upset. What should I do now? It will continue until things get really serious.
I understand. Can I ask another question?
No, you don't understand. I'll repeat again. You lack the strength to respect seniors. Do you respect your father?
I don't have a father.
No father. You see, you need to understand how serious this amount of work is. You see, your fate has already sort of deprived you of a father. The connection with seniors is broken. There's no deep understanding of inner delicacy towards seniors. This power that would give you victory over fate. This is the key to the difficulty. And there's no compromise here, you just need to develop, that's all.
Psychologically, I see a father figure in every leader.
Great, that's excellent, excellent. That's it then, I understand. You're a man, you'll tell me. Dr. Torsunov, you yourself are wrong. I told you that you're wrong because you're a leader. I'm not a young guy anymore. I sometimes see certain things. Listen carefully, look closely, maybe it will help you in the future.
You were saying that even a small lie is already a vice. But what if it's not a manager who lied, but a regular worker in our company?
Well, that's okay, that's normal. A regular worker lied, you punish him, and that's it.
But we shouldn't fire him?
Well, he is a simple person. If he doesn't have responsibility, he just works. Well, he fooled around a little bit. That's why he is a simple worker, because he is like that. He has such weak intelligence. So it's normal. That's just his level of intelligence. That's the intelligence he has. And you need to understand that highly intellectual people won't be in such positions. Increase their level of fear. Describe the situation of what will happen next. If the person doesn't react, has no fear, lies again, tell them, what are you doing? This will lead to very serious consequences. They reply, yeah, whatever. This means one has very low intelligence, then you need to fire this person.
Well, the problem is that there are personal relationships there. They're my relatives. When I forgive, this person relaxes even more.
My dear friends, if you hired relatives to work, then love and take care of them, and treat your own hemorrhoids each time. Your own, not theirs. You didn't just hire a person, you took on the responsibility of caring for them. You're taking care of them, you're not just working with them. If you lend money to a relative, then treat your hemorrhoids. You should just give money to a relative as much as you can. Whatever amount you can give it. Say, if you return it, good. If you don't, no problem. Give a little, as much as you can, and that's it. And you'll have good relationships. They'll be grateful to you for life. But if you give them a loan, family relations are destroyed. It's their money now. Your relatives, it's their money. They will always pay the debt to everyone else before you. You're a relative. You can wait. That is it. It's almost their money.
There are people who control security in the company. They monitor safety.
Great idea. Every company should have people who monitor security. This is a great idea.
And one of our employees accused me of something I didn't do. How should I react to this situation?
Sincere, heartfelt repentance before the boss. Come and say, I'm sorry, I'm probably at fault, though honestly, I don't know how. I didn't do this, but I feel very ashamed that I'm being accused. Repent, look very dignified and explain, and he will hear and see that this is true. Then he will see your heart and calm down. Once we had a festival and we were robbed, and in meditation I found out who stole. Those were the local workers. They had already taken away everything they stole. I just went to where they work, stood there and waited. And they said, "What are you looking at?" I said, "I want to see if people have any conscience or not." They said, "What's wrong?" I said, "Nothing. Unless caught stealing, one isn't a thief. I'm just looking if you have conscience." I stood there watching. I needed to understand myself if I was right or not. That's all I needed to understand. I saw that I was right because they started behaving like thieves. They started pretending I wasn't there. If they hadn't stolen, they would have come up and said, "What's wrong? What's the matter?" They would have started figuring out, but these people didn't. They just pretended I wasn't there. And then we started an investigation. Everything was confirmed. We found witnesses who confirmed that they were at the resort where the festival was. We completely exposed them simply because we were 100% sure that they did it. And the manager of this resort did something interesting. He didn't want to call the police, to have an investigation, to have a stain on the resort's reputation. This is Eastern culture. He simply deducted the amount they had stolen from their wages. Everything they stole. He paid that money to those who lost it. They evaluated their lost items. He immediately paid them all in cash and deducted it from these people's salaries. I explained, "Don't steal." Your question, is it okay that we're answering questions? Specific situations are interesting to you? There, the lady in the back, in pink.
Good afternoon, Dr. Torsunov.
Please sit down. No need to stand up. Sit down. Don't worry.
I wanted to thank both God and you for your wonderful lectures. Previously, I was in business. We lived both rich and poor. Poor and rich. Well, you know. In one of your lectures, I heard how you talked about girls in Russian villages. Virgins whom you introduce, who should preferably be introduced to someone older. I came to you with this request.
Introduce you to whom?
I have a great desire to meet a man for whom life values. Well, I mean...
To marry such a person?
I am a chaste woman, and I ask for your help in this matter.
So who needs a chaste girl? A businesswoman by nature, very talented, good, believes in elders.
Are there any men here in the audience who would like to meet such a girl?
Well, unmarried ones, I mean. My dear, you see, God is not giving yet, and where would I find someone for you? I can just give you my blessing, and if a person appears, I can tell you if he's suitable for you or not, okay? You know, in society, girls need help to arrange marriage. There are several girls who are under my guidance, and I'm constantly racking my brain about finding husbands for them. But if the whole country wants me to arrange marriages, then my head will definitely break. I give you my blessing. You just need to make amends for what happened, never leave anyone again. Okay?
To be honest, I don't quite understand.
You haven't left anyone?
No.
Did he leave you?
No.
You haven't had anyone?
Well, I've been going out, meeting people, but I haven't met anyone who would want to create a family with such values, on such a foundation.
Ah, such men are very rare. They only live in paradise. You need to take an ordinary man, work on him, and turn him into gold. You have the wrong attitude. You want to get immediately what a woman should make out of a man. You want the end result right away, to jump to the last floor. A man's development is expressed in responsibility, desire to provide for the family, strong dedication to his work, and strong desire to develop as a person in their activity first. The ability to have a deep conscience and deep understanding of God is a sign of a man's very high development. Such men are all married because when such a man appears and he's single, there are immediately 10 women competing for one man. Because such people are very rare in general, and unmarried ones especially, do you understand? Therefore, just find someone who has a purpose in life and has a more or less normal attitude towards you. A completely normal relationship is impossible because selfishness always acts between a man and a woman. There will always be conflicts. He develops as a person, works on himself, but doesn't understand what spiritual development is, what morality is, pursues you, wants a close relationship. This is normal. That's it. Keep him at a distance, demand marriage first, and then you will preserve this person. He will develop more and more sympathy for you, and if he leaves, then he's not the one. But if you want someone who's already developed and perfect right away, you won't find him, you'll remain alone. That's why I told you, don't leave anyone, because God has already sent you people. I can see that, but you refuse them. You say, Lord, give me the very best one. It is impossible. Because that's why family is created, so that you can make him into the best version of himself. A woman is a man's conscience. She is his purity. A man doesn't have purity. A woman has purity. You must transfer your purity to him, educate him. This is your role in life, not to get someone perfect right away. This is your laziness. Work on your fate.
Thank you.
Let's stay on topic. Your question.
Dr. Torsunov, good evening. I want to thank you. Your work, your deeds have enormous value for us, which is simply impossible to overestimate. The question is, I had a close relationship with a man, which has now ended. But our business and partnership relationship continues.
This is a compromise. Yes, this is our topic.
And how should I behave correctly in this relationship? Because from his side, it continues. Can you hear me now?
I hear you. I'm looking at the situation. Don't pay attention. Continue.
From his side, there are attempts to continue our relationship, which I don't accept.
Does he have someone else already?
Yes, he has someone, and this person was there before.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you have a child together with him?
Yes.
How many years did you live with him?
We didn't live together, we just dated.
And you had a child with him?
No, my child is from my first marriage.
Now I understand.
This relationship, which the boss strongly condemned, ended. Business relations are built on quite trustful communication.
No, this is impossible.
Not at all. Trust has only now started to suffer.
Let me explain now. There are relationships of a stronger level and a weaker one. For example, husband and wife. This is a stronger relationship. They possess enormous power. And if you're husband and wife and then you become business partners, this close relationship cannot simply transition into business at all after you've destroyed the close relationship. You'd have to completely break yourself, because when you start communicating trustfully with him, he immediately activates this power of being a husband. Do you understand? This power of a very close relationship turns on immediately, and then there is no place for a business relationship. This is very difficult for you now. I can now see how he behaves. He uses the close relationship to influence you. He feels that you still have a close relationship, and he's not treating you as a partner, but behaving with you as with a woman.
Exactly.
Because this is your weak spot. You've already opened up as a woman to him, and therefore you're not protected. You have no protection. You don't have another man now, a husband. If you did, you wouldn't care because you would be protected. Your zone of intimate relationship would be protected, but now it's empty, and since he's trying to take advantage of it, a woman can't do anything about it. Because she must either have protection or stay away from a man who tries to build a close relationship with her against her will. You need to set conditions. That's what the compromise is about. If you have no choice, you have to work with him. You should know that this is a temporary situation which will last until you get married. And there's also another issue here, because if you allow a close relationship with him, you lose the power to get married.
No, it's completely finished.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about an emotional feeling. When you communicate with him, he behaves like a husband, and you give in to this. Your ability to attract someone else becomes several times weaker after that. You lose your purity that gives you the opportunity to get married. When a woman is alone, she becomes very pure and attractive, and attracts a good person. She loses her purity because she builds such a semi-close relationship with another man. I don't mean kisses and everything else, but just a verbal relationship. This reduces your power to get married, and you feel it in your heart, and you don't like how he behaves. You lose yourself in this relationship. You need to set conditions, maintain a certain distance, always point out when he's not speaking to you correctly, and achieve your freedom from him. You are like his slave now because he has already found someone else, and at the same time doesn't let you go.
You know, it's not even that he found someone else. He was playing these games before, and I didn't know about it initially, and then I just got into this situation.
This means that he has a very, very low moral level. He's strong as a businessman. He might have strong intelligence, but he has a low moral level, and he definitely shouldn't be a husband. Such people shouldn't be husbands, because what kind of husband is that? Maintain distance. He hasn't ruled you out as a possible option now, but you should rule him out. And if he wants to, let him prove it. A man can change and become better. Let him prove it. He must not date anyone. He must behave right, like a decent person. Set conditions if he tries to win you back, and if not, keep your distance, and that's it.
How can this affect the situation in the relationship?
It won't affect it in any way. He will respect you more. A woman who sets boundaries with a man is always more respected by him. The less accessible a woman is, the more respected she is. Always. Some women think, if I don't act all friendly and casual with him, he won't depend on me. When a woman sets boundaries with a man, he always respects her more for it. This is a law, and a woman's distance towards a man always creates a stronger relationship than closeness. You should allow your husband to be close, but if he becomes insolent, set distance immediately. And he immediately stops being insolent because love comes from a woman. This is her only way to control the situation. Learn to be strong. This is not called harshness. This is called firmness of spirit, strength, feminine power.
Is this possible? Should I expect revenge?
Expect what?
Revenge.
You tell him, slow down there, hold your horses, slow down. You maintain distance, don't let him communicate closely in the relationship. What is wrong with that? Are you insulting him in any way?
No.
You're just establishing a correct relationship. You tell him, I want to get married. When you behave this way, I start to suspect that you want to take advantage of me. Because of this, I can't marry anyone else. So behave correctly, behave as you should. Or if you want to marry me, then do it, and say goodbye to all other women. If not, then we talk strictly business without any romantic stuff. Is that bad? You need to discipline a man, show him how he should behave with you. Every woman should do this.
Tell me, could this have somehow affected why our business isn't doing very well now? The money that was initially invested, it doesn't have the ability to work as it should have initially.
There is some influence. There is an influence of your bad period in business. He's very relaxed, he behaves in a relaxed way, and doesn't make much effort. He has no responsibility. You can't influence him because you have an incorrect relationship. He might not be fulfilling his duties in business, I think. You fulfill them. That's what I think. Is this true or not?
He's quite responsible. Moreover, he carries almost everything on his shoulders.
All right, then everything is fine?
He's already stressed.
It's just a bad period. A bad period. What does he do? What's causing the stress?
Government contracts.
Can't work properly with the government? What's the problem? Can't fulfill the order?
Their company works with the government.
No, I don't understand. It all depends on who does the work.
Everything is very serious.
I see. The question is, who does the work? There are different types of managers. You can find someone who will launch great management there. Everything depends on ability. I understand what you're talking about. I understand all this, but there are different options. Everything depends on strength. A person who is capable of negotiating will drive anyone crazy in a good way and reach an agreement. Everything depends on strength. Find a strong person. He can't negotiate, apparently. Find someone who can negotiate and everything will work out for you. It's always possible to negotiate. Where there's strength, there's possibility.
Thank you.
He manages the process well. He creates, he controls the process well. He works well, but he doesn't have the ability to communicate. He's just a completely different type of person. Administrative type, not ideological. It's the ideologists who negotiate. They can create relationships. And managers, they just know what to do. Your question. Thank you for coming to the lecture. What's your question?
I also want to thank you for your knowledge, for sharing it with us. Here's my question. I've been working on one project for almost 15 months. Private business. I work in customer service. And some time ago, certain things started happening. Well, basically, the managers think we have poor communications. There were different situations, crisis situations. I mean, in the business itself, difficult situations, various ones.
I see this situation. It doesn't depend on you now. There is some negative opinion about you, and this is connected to fate. They think badly of you. And only your honor, dignity, and good attitude towards seniors can fix the situation. I think this opinion is far-fetched. I don't know if there are grounds for it or not.
They told me, we wanted you to cover for us, but you didn't cover for us. We want business, but something isn't working out. They just didn't give me resources.
You have no choice? You have to work with them, right?
What do you mean? No, I don't have to. On the contrary, everything is heading towards us parting ways.
And your question is, should you part ways or not?
Yes. Should I try to find a compromise, as I did before, or should I just close this chapter?
You don't have enough resources to live independently, do you?
Right now, yes.
Then you need a compromise.
I don't really understand how to find a compromise, because now they've hired another person and gave them the resources that they didn't give me for many months. Money, people, and so on.
Have they already replaced you?
The process is ongoing. I don't have strict deadlines, meaning I can still work for some time.
Work for some time and look for opportunities, look for resources.
You mean opportunities outside this company?
Yes.
Not in this project?
You won't stay in this project. The only question is, will you leave quickly or slowly? You need to leave slowly, and that's the compromise. But you won't be able to stay there because they have other plans.
Thank you very much.
You feel this way yourself, don't you?
Yes.
Well, that's it. So that's how it is.
Thank you.
Your question, sir.
Good evening. I also thank you for your knowledge, for the lecture. I have a small company. I'm in manufacturing. I actually have more of an ideological mindset.
Yes, that's right.
I build relationships with clients. And I need a person specifically in production who could manage people.
Do you manage processes?
Yes.
You're not an ideologist who builds relationships with people. You manage processes. You have a very clear picture of what to do. You know how to develop business. You have a vision and an understanding in what direction to develop business, isn't it right?
Well, a strategic vision.
And you need someone who will control the situation. Someone who will write job descriptions, start monitoring people, communicate with them, discipline them, encourage them. This is absolutely right.
And the technical part of the matter they should also understand deeply. I think it's more related to the strategy.
This can be explained to them by someone. You need a technologist who will explain. A manager will understand the technical part when it's explained to them. It's not necessary to find exactly such a person. You'll go crazy trying to find someone who understands the technical part and can also manage people. You need to find a good manager and assign someone to them who will explain the technical part, training them simultaneously. And then you will succeed.
What should I pay attention to? If it's a new person, an unfamiliar person, what should I pay attention to?
I'll explain now. A broad face, firm gaze, calm, slow-paced, stays silent for a long time, speaks little, speaks to the point, makes decisions slowly, appears outwardly brave, strongly knows their worth. Maybe not even a broad face, but such a person should have a strong appearance. This is an administrative type of manager. As they say, he strikes a person only once. The second time he strikes is on the coffin lid. There was such a warrant officer when I was in the army. I played checkers with him incorrectly. When I arrived there, it was a supply platoon. I was a medical instructor there. He sat me down, the whole platoon gathered, and he said, "Play checkers with me." I thought he was testing my level of play. I beat him 5 times. Then he made my life miserable for the next 1.5 years. He never forgave. Why? Because that's his nature. An administrative type of manager has a very strong sense of self-esteem in relationships with people. And he maintains his reputation very strongly. People respect him because they fear him. I've described the type of a person. You should find such a person and test them. What are this person's shortcomings? Stubbornness. It's very difficult to explain things to them. But once they understand what is required, they will continue to act in this direction all the time.
Then here's a question. What's the motivation for this person, if one is stubborn?
A manager may have the highest motivation, which I explained. And the usual motivation for such a person is power and social status. This is the usual motivation if this person is underdeveloped, but such people are the majority. You give them power and status, respect this person, pay salary, and one starts to command. You establish and write down the relationship terms with this person. You say, "You don't need to command me, but I will always respect you."
Thank you. I have a second question that came up during our conversation, while you were answering. I don't know if it's relevant. How to find a mentor. It's very important to find a spiritual mentor, a life mentor in general. I feel that I also lack this.
Mentorship depends on a person's development. Just as ice melts gradually, so gradually a person finds a mentor. First, one needs to learn to receive guidance from friends and acquaintances. To hear when your wife yells at you, to hear that it's guidance, not scolding because she's telling you the truth, just exaggerated. First, a person begins to see guidance where they live, in their own environment, because God always gives guidance. If someone communicates with you kindly, it's a kind person, and you ask them a question, then God will always answer you through them. Therefore, you should turn to kind people for advice, not to psychologists or astrologers. Because if a person is kind and wants to help you, God will always answer you through them. These are the mentors. You cannot find a high-level mentor right away because it's God's mercy. First, a person just finds the opportunity to receive guidance. They see guidance from those who are nearby. They learn to hear how God speaks to them through people, and then God gradually gives higher and higher opportunities. It doesn't happen that you just go and find a mentor. It's even easier to find a wife than a mentor.
Should I make no effort to find a specific person? Does it come from above?
No, there is a certain sequence. First, a person finds kind friends, then a person studies some knowledge, chooses a direction, chooses their tradition. Then they find elders in their tradition who explain to them how to follow, and only then, when they start to progress in this, do they receive a spiritual mentor, when they are really ready to follow all their mentor's advice. And if you want to find a mentor in business, then you need to simply look for seniors in your field, wise and experienced people, and respect them greatly. They will tell you how to work.
Thank you.
But spirituality has nothing to do with it then.
I'm actually talking about a spiritual mentor.
There's a sequence. First, you should be interested in self-development, then choose a tradition, then elders appear. Then you'll find a mentor. Have you chosen a tradition?
Well,
it means you're still far from having a mentor.
thank you.
A mentor only exists within tradition. If a mentor doesn't follow a tradition, it's just not serious. It's all very unserious. The man in the back, you.
You were talking about how I should accept the manager's side, their methods, but I have a problem. I have a person in my team.
You see why I asked him again? Because the topic is developing. This is very interesting. He listened.
I have a person in my team who has been helping me build team relationships for 2 years. This person was essentially a psychologist for our internal department, and this person was and is my spiritual mentor.
This is very dangerous. Is this person your subordinate?
They are older than me, yes.
One is your subordinate, but at the same time one is your mentor, right?
Yes. And it was through this person, as if from God, that all information came, and in many situations it helped me very much.
Give them a special position in the team.
I already gave a special position, but now there's a different problem. This person has a negative attitude towards the company's leader, the one I talked about, and when I accepted the company leader's point of view, I spoiled relations with this person. How do I find balance? I can't explain. Some kind of deadlock arises.
Yes, this is a deadlock.
So what should I do?
I know what to do. You must understand that a mentor has no right to interfere in business relationships. This is not their qualification. If this person works there just as an employee, they should limit their mentorship only to your spiritual life. But they have no right to interfere in the company's affairs, because they have no authority for this. This person is not authorized to deal with this specifically, because they are only authorized to help you or others with spiritual matters. But if being a mentor by nature, one has taken an ideological position against the leader, one is the most dangerous enemy in the whole company that currently exists for your leader. And this person can destroy the whole company if they have such power, as you say. If this person is a mentor by nature, then they're like a snake that will bite the one who manages the company and will destroy the company or help destroy it. In this case, this person has exceeded their authority, and you have no right to continue maintaining a relationship with this person, as with a mentor, until they refuse this activity. Because on one hand, they destroy your faith in elders, and on the other hand, they destroy your faith in them because this person behaves incorrectly. And it also destroys faith in the elder because you believe this person. That means that you've fallen into a trap.
Well, this person has a special position that I gave them. And in fact, for 2 years until these conflicts began, all their advice and actions were positive. They helped me grow, helped my employees grow.
You need to ask this person not to destroy your relationship with the elder and not to interfere in this situation. If they don't respond to you, then this person has no right to be a mentor, because a mentor should be wiser than their disciple. You're acting wiser than this person now because you're trying to improve relations with the leader. I don't see your leader as some kind of monster. He's just somewhat authoritarian and rigid. This is just his character. It's normal for a leader to be like this. But if you don't respect him as a person and don't allow him to make some mistakes, that's not good. And if a mentor behaves this way, it's very bad. Because a mentor should understand people 10 times better and see more good in them rather than bad.
I understand you. And lastly again, there's a subordinate, as she calls herself. A girl. Whatever you tell her, whatever guidance you give her, or when you point out her mistakes, it leads to conflict.
It means the relations with the girl are incorrect. I'll explain now how to behave with a girl. You need to write down all instructions completely for the girl, how she should work, and ask her according to these points. My dear, please follow the rules. If she says I can't, then you need to set a deadline, tell her that you can fire her, and she will get scared and work properly. With a girl, with a woman, you can't build workplace relationships from a position of explanation and mentoring. With a woman, you can only build them from a position of rules, because she always sees the boundaries of what she needs to do. She gets used to them and then does it, and she can work peacefully. But if there are no boundaries, a woman naturally has a tendency to flow out, because she is like a river. And let's say there are no boundaries and nobody wrote that you need to leave work on time. Well, I left 5 minutes early. What's wrong with that? I'm a woman. I have the right. But if it's written that it's not allowed, then she will ask, maybe it's possible? And they tell her, no, it's not allowed. And then she thinks about it, and then it's up to her to decide whether she will work there or not. If she decides to stay, then she gets used to it and works. That's how a woman's psyche is structured. But if nothing is written down, and you tell her something, she'll say, what do you want from me? I'm a woman. Especially if she's a young girl, and that's true.
Boundaries were set for her, but then comments started.
Set conditions.
At 9 in the evening, there's traffic, small salary. I'm very tired. I'm doing someone else's work, and you can't stop her.
Raise your hand. Who else has such girls at work? I think everyone does. There's only one solution. Insist on boundaries. Set conditions. Talk about firing her. There will be 2 options. Either she'll think about it and leave, or think about it and stay. If she thinks and stays, she'll calm down, and later she'll even thank you. Because a woman who has no boundaries, she flows out, and she has no ability to maintain herself. If we talk about a female team, let's say there are boundaries, everything is written down, and you let one girl leave 5 minutes earlier just because she's prettier than others, even though you didn't want to. All other girls will also rush to leave early the next day because they won't be able to handle it. If one girl flows somewhere, all others will flow there too, without any doubt. They will all definitely rush in that direction.
Thank you, Dr. Torsunov.
She is like a river. A woman is like a river. She always flows, she can't help it, but if her banks are steep and strong, she gets used to flowing within them and everything is fine. But she will always periodically push against them, check if they're strong, then continue flowing, understanding that everything will be fine, but if they're not strong, she erodes them. That's how female nature works. But there are things where it's impossible to stop a woman. This is family life, because she has enormous strength and influence there. And therefore, when a river flows in its natural course, it flows wider and wider, broader and broader. This happens imperceptibly for a man, and with age it just turns out that a woman becomes very strong in family life, very powerful. And a man becomes so humble. This is the result of a relationship. Was the lecture useful for you today? Was it okay?
Yes.
I'm teaching this topic for the first time. Raise your hand if something helped you. Good, thank you. So we'll continue with these lectures. A person can never get out of compromise if they don't have spiritual strength, so learn through prayer. This is the most important thing in life. I am also in a situation right now where spiritual strength is needed. I'm not in this situation myself, my assistants are. They constantly conflict with each other, and I need spiritual strength to help them sort things out with each other. It is not simple. Prayer is needed. No prayer, no strength. Because through prayer, when a person remembers God or those who pray, at this time their heart fills with calmness and strength. And this is especially important for a leader, because everyone, like pirates, plunders their strength every day. Therefore, you need to be filled every day through nature, movement in nature, through good people, communication is needed. A leader always needs kind communication with people, needs to have some good, kind person with whom they can definitely talk in life.
Is it better to talk in person for this?
Better in person because you need the person's energy. You need energy because you're spending it. And prayer is needed.
Can I ask a question?
No, my dear, that's all for now. Let's learn carefully to understand what the sound of intelligence is. I repeat, I wish happiness to everyone. This sound doesn't overcome fate. It improves mood. You feel great. This is an emotional sound. Or, I wish happiness to everyone. This is a sound from the heart. It doesn't overcome fate because it exists within fate. And there is a sound that lives in memory and in listening. This is basically the same thing. This is a sound that resides in intelligence, and it destroys all obstacles in life. But one needs to learn how to pronounce this sound, because people don't understand what kind of sound it is. If it is not from the heart, then from what? This sound comes from your memory. From memory, it then comes to the heart and gets established there, becomes very powerful. I listen carefully to those who pray. Listen, I wish happiness to everyone. This is the sound of my memory. This is the sound that overcomes fate. I remember those who sing and how they repeat. Gradually this sound comes into my heart, and there my intelligence gets activated. The sound of memory is the sound that destroys all obstacles. Learn it this way. First you need to do this with someone, and then you'll learn to remember God, and will be able to do it yourself.
Я желаю всем счастья. Желаю всем счастья. Я 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 желаю всем счастья.
Thank you very much. I wish you all happiness, success in overcoming fate, and all the best in your life. I am very grateful to you for listening to me, for being patient. Thank you very much. All the best to you. To learn more on the subject of health and healing of the body, please make sure to read my health guide, available for download on my YouTube channel or on my Instagram page. Thank you very much, and see you soon.